If you ever find an ornate crystal dish at the mouth of a cave beneath a gnarled oak, the scent of the scene will tell you to fill the dish with fresh strawberries. Go ahead and do so, but after you do, you'll want to get to a safe distance. Welcome to the CryptoNaturalist. Hello, listeners. I'm speaking to you today from the roof of a shed at the edge of an old-growth forest. There are a few chickens picking at the ground below me, and way up on a nearby hill I can hear a dog barking at that old farmhouse. There's a stillness in this bit of forest, a stillness as the moss tide is about to roll in. You wouldn't think it, but somehow the moss tide begins with air. I could almost feel the moment when the shift happened. There's a sheen of sweat on my forehead from scrambling up on this shed and sitting here in the dappled sunlight. And when the air shifted a moment ago, I could feel a cool tingle across my face. It's like a cold front rolling in, but soft and subtle. Now, the moss tide isn't like a ivy lanch or a fungi flood. Certainly not like a tornado. No, it's almost like a shift in cloud cover, as much as the behavior of an organism, a sudden influx of shade. Looking down at the dirt and dust surrounding this shed, it's mostly a jumble of twig and chicken tracks, but here and there I see a pattern of tight parallel lines and smooth S-curves, evidence of the last high tide. A group of starlings is gathering in the twisted dogwoods at the edge of the forest, no doubt waiting to see if the tide drags in anything good to eat. And I can just see the moss, there under the shade of the trees, rising up 50 feet off, where the woods fall away toward a little bubbling stream. Yeah, here it comes. When the moss tide rolls in, it comes at an amble, an unhurried walker's pace. But the words I might reach for to describe such a thing aren't quite right. It's too gentle to be a flood or a march. I'm beginning to hear its approach. It's something like the hushing of sea meeting shore, mixed with the crackle of a low fire. Yes, the moss seems to carry on a quiet conversation with itself as it moves across the land. This species of moss is, appropriately enough, called Tidal Moss. It's the soft green of spring lilac leaves and a bit shaggier than some of its cousins. A little micro-atmosphere of thin mist hovers above the flowing carpet, and tiny white mushrooms dot the green like little wizard's towers on a shifting fantasy landscape. It's about, 35 feet or so from the edge of the trees, and apparently Cassandra wants my attention. Okay, looks like my friend and RV has turned paper white, and words are appearing on her side. Oh, right, I got it. It must be time for today's Hidden Lore segment. Today's Hidden Lore is a poem by Emily Kramer. An absence of ants. Roots grow under that house, boa constricting up through the basement and into the halls. A family lived there once. Now, detritus, flotsam, centipedes, and worms. Last night I dreamt of ants feasting on our discarded sweetness. Crumbs of buttered toast, peach corn, pools of vanilla ice cream, climbing up the picnic table at the family barbecue, or piling onto the sidewalk, salvaging cast-off morsels to carry home. You step over them, careful. In the house, it's dark and quiet. Water seeps in from the ground, through the walls, and up until the windows weep from the outside. There are no ants here, just the quiet stretching of something come undone. Ah, lovely poem. A bit bittersweet, a bit eerie. Of course, one creature's detritus is another's paradise. The approaching moss certainly understands that principle. And speaking of the moss, it has reached my perch. I can feel a rise in humidity along with the cool air. Looking down at the chickens, they seem completely unbothered by the new green carpet beneath their feet. One boisterous, speckled hen has made a game of it, hopping back and forth between moss and bare earth as the tide rolls forward. Let me get... Here we go. Shifting to my belly up on this roof to take a closer look now. Both the starlings and the chickens seem to be chasing something. Wait, there. Tiny, semi-transparent something has crawled up from a patch of moss I was watching. It's about the size of a little toe, and it looks like... No, I think it is a tardigrade, a water bear. Huh. I guess they are sometimes called moss piglets, except they generally have a habit of being microscopic. Looks like a little living gummy bear. Oh, a starling just drove for the critter I was watching, but it was not fast enough. That little water bear dove back down into the plush green shelter of the moss, faster than the darting beak pursuing it. You know, I'm awfully tempted to climb down there. Maybe even leave my shoes behind and float barefoot on the moss tide as it recedes back into the forest. And again, a 19th century cryptonaturalist by the name of Abigail Thornton wrote of the moss tide, quote, "The moss tide brings with it peculiarities of space and proportion, and it's best to keep a prudent distance. Imagine watching an inch of water flow up to your doorstep and stepping forward, finding yourself up to your ears in the flood." End quote. Not much has been written about this obscure phenomenon, which, as far as I know, is confined to this one valley. So I think it's better to trust to the wisdom of my elders on this one. Tempting as it is to join the chickens and starlings and water bears. And we have a newcomer. Scuttling out of the forest, it's an isopod, a pillbug the size of a prize-winning watermelon. Wow, just look at that handsome creature. Like a living fortress atop a flurry of churning legs, just marching along at the edge of the woods. Well, that's strange. Something has unsettled the chickens. They all just turned and scuttled back onto the bare ground beyond the moss. Looking down around my shed here, I don't see anything particularly threatening. It looks like the starlings retreated back to the branches as well. Maybe I'll move around. Maybe I'm moving around too much up here, and I... Wait a sec. Where'd that giant isopod go? Oh. Yeah. That would do it. Oh, there's a salamander over by the tree line. I can only see its head above the moss, and it appears to be about the size of a very well-fed saltwater crocodile. The shape of its head reminds me of the hellbenders native to these parts, but its coloration is more akin to a marbled newt, dappled greens and blacks. What a truly remarkable sight. And what a good thing I read up on Abigail Thornton's research this morning. I do so love the feel of moss, but observing from a distance is often a best practice for a reason. I think I'll lie up here, still and quiet as I can be for a spell, and see what else there is to see before the tide retreats back beneath the trees. Until next time, we're all strange animals, so act like it. Thanks to Emily Kramer for today's hidden lore poem, An Absence of Ants. Emily is a poet from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, with an M.A. in English from Ohio University. She currently works at a nonprofit for domestic violence and crime survivors. Outside of work, she loves hiking, playing cozy video games, and spending time with her 2 cats. Her work has appeared in Ghost City Review, Split Rock Review, and more.
To find bonus content and a variety of strange rewards, support our show by visiting patreon.com/CryptoNaturalist. You can also help by rating, reviewing, and telling a friend. The CryptoNaturalist is written and read by Jarod K. Anderson. For books and poetry collections by Jarod K. Anderson and Leslie J. Anderson, visit CryptoNaturalist.com/books. You'll find information about submitting your poetry or prose for our hidden lore segments in the About section of our website at CryptoNaturalist.com. This show is produced and edited by Tracy Barnett. You can find them online anywhere at TheOtherTracy or TheOtherTracy.com. Thanks to Adam Hurt for the use of his song Garfield's Blackberry Blossom from his album Insight. For more information on Adam's music, performances, and teaching, visit adamhurt.com. Reminder, transcripts of this and every episode are available at CryptoNaturalist.com. Stay curious, stay wild, stay weird.
Postscript. One of the best things about fingertips is that they share the world with the softness of moss.